Mistakes are something that we humans have been making throughout history. Whether it's Columbus accidentally starting a slave trade or my parents accidentally making a disappointment, we've all messed up at least once in our lives. But some mistakes are more expensive than others. So here are some of the most expensive mistakes ever made in history. Our first one happened in 1962. The Mariner 1 was a spacecraft that was supposed to drive by Venus and take some pictures. Everything was going well on launch day and the spacecraft took off and was in the air for a grand total of 5 minutes before heading towards the ocean. I mean, with a name like Mariner 1, did they really expect anything else? NASA later found out that it was because of a mistake in the code. This is what they were supposed to type, and this is what they typed instead. So because of that bar on top, some nerd shit happened that I'm too lazy to Google, and the rocket went off course and the mission had to be aborted. This whole mistake cost $18 million in 1962, which is about $155 million today. Now most of us might know Alaska as the place in a small box next to Hawaii on the US map with the funny town names, but it used to belong to Russia. Which makes sense because Alaska is closer to Russia and because they both prefer to drink their problems away. But in the 1860s, after spending all their money fighting random wars, the Russians really needed some more. So after looking at what they had, they decided to sell Alaska to the US for $7 million. Now at the time, Alaska was just a cold, barren wasteland where no one wanted to live, and God knows Russia has enough of those. So $7 million for it was a great deal, and to be fair, for the first few years, Alaska was just as useless to the US as it was for Russia. So do you have anything that's valuable? I have some snow. I already have that. Anything else? You want some ice? You know what? You're useless. Screw it, you can have him. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have some gold too. In 1870, gold was discovered in Alaska, and this caused a huge rise in its population, and a huge amount of money for the US. In 2015 alone, Alaska produced $1 billion worth of gold. It's still a cold, barren wasteland where no one wants to live, but at least now it's making money. Money that Russia could have gotten if it weren't for that one mistake. The next screw-up took place in 2005. A Japanese businessman was in charge of setting the prices in the stock market for a company called JCOM. He was supposed to set the price as 610,000 yen for one share, but he instead set the price at 610,000 shares for just 1 yen. Basically, he gave everyone a 99.999% discount on the shares. The company didn't even have that many shares to sell in the first place, but the Tokyo stock market somehow continued with the deal. Of course, everyone saw this great deal and immediately bought all the shares they could. This small mix-up cost the company 23 billion yen, which is about $236 million. Our next mess-up happened in the 1970s. A young director wanted to make a sci-fi movie in space, but most people in Hollywood didn't think it would be that successful. So, when the movie was finished and was going to be released, 20th Century Fox let this director keep all the rights to the merchandise for the movie. So basically, all the money made from merch would go directly to him. Well, that director was George Lucas, and the movie he made was the first Star Wars movie, which some of you might know, it's kinda popular. Hey Fox, here's my new movie. Do you want to make any money off the merch? Listen kid, I don't care about your movie. It's gonna fail. You can do whatever you want, but it's not gonna be a success. So I can keep all the money? Yeah, sure, whatever. Go away now, I got better things to do. So how's everything going? Don't talk about it. Fox didn't expect Star Wars to become as big as it did, and so, just because of that mistake, they lost about $40 billion in revenue from merchandise. Don't feel too bad for them though. They made about $30 billion in 2018, so they aren't exactly scraping for money right now. Our next aberration happened in the 1980s. American Airlines lost a lot of money at the time because of some new laws and needed some more fast. So they thought of a plan to get a lot of money very quickly, introducing the Air Pass. It was a pass that gave someone free unlimited first-class flights forever, all for the low price of about $600,000 in today's money. Now with that kind of price tag, this wasn't meant for us regular peasants, but rather for rich millionaires with too much money on their hands. In total, 28 people bought the pass, but that's where it all went wrong. You see, when people see the words unlimited and free, they take full advantage of it. Two of the pass holders decided to make the most out of the deal and flew as much as they could. They'd fly almost every day to various locations. They went to Paris just to get lunch. They'd give away their passes to random strangers at the airport. They took about 10,000 flights in total and flew about 2 million miles per year. This wasn't what American Airlines expected, and it was losing them a lot of money, about $2 million every year. They quickly cancelled both their passes, but eventually the airlines filed for bankruptcy in 2011. Now you might know of a little company named after a fruit, which makes electronics for people who either have too much money or who've stolen their parents' credit card. Everyone knows it was started by two guys, Billionaire Steve and Millionaire Steve. But there was actually a third guy who was one of the founders. His name wasn't Steve, it was Ron Wayne. And because of his mistake, he is living in poverty, with a net worth of only $100,000. How could he ever survive with that? When Apple was founded, he owned about 10% of it. At the time, that was basically worthless, and so 12 days later, he sold his share for just $800. Ron Wayne didn't expect people to like overpriced electronics so much, and so that share is now worth almost $100 billion. But at least he had the original contract signed by Steve Jobs himself that would probably be pretty valuable. Well, in the 90s, he thought that was useless too, and sold it for $500. A few years later, it was sold again for $1.6 million. Despite probably being the unluckiest man alive, Ron now spends most of his time trying his luck at casinos and also third-wheeling every Apple convention. So yeah, those are some very expensive mishaps that people have made in the past. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe, hit the bell, and also check out some other videos in the description. Also follow me on Twitter for great content. I'll see you guys later.